Well, hello and welcome to another beautiful episode of In the Know with Wild Bill. I'm, of course, Wild Bill. And as you can see, there is not some humongous praying mantis trying to eat me alive. Well, this is thanks to a gentleman, Mike, who is actually going to be running the production today. Well, of course, under the guidance of Mr. Rich Lano. But therefore, thanks for the new digs. Mike, gotta love you. What a guy. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot to talk about today. And so let's start off with this week in history and starting out with May 28th. And it was in 1830 that the United States Congress passed a bill that kicked out all Indians from the states of the United States. Now I realize that the Indian Wars out west and everything went on for quite some time, but nonetheless, I mean, let's think about it. This is 1830, and this was the day, today, May 28th, in 1830, that our Congress decided that anybody that is a Native American cannot live in the states. Interestingly enough, they couldn't change this law, which is why, technically, an Indian reservation today, no matter where it is in the continental United States, is technically its own nation. And now let's look at May 29th. It was on May 29th in 1453 that Muhammad II, Sultan, managed to break the walls of Constantinople and finally destroy the Byzantine Empire. Yes, that's the guy right there. And he managed to bust down the walls of Constantinople, which of course meant that the Byzantine Empire ended. And this was really the beginning. The Ottoman Empire had, existed before, but this is where the Ottoman Empire finally just took over all of that territory that used to be Turkey and Persia and ruled it for about another 500 years. So that was, again, 1453 on May 29th. So let's move now on to May 30th. It was on May 30th, 1889, that the bra was invented. Yes, the modern bra. The support for so many things important to so many men and women was invented by Herman Nicodoy in France in 1889. This is when we finally got the bra. And now there is a popular myth that says that the bra was invented by a man by the name of Herman Titzlinger. But in fact, that is a myth. It was not invented by this man. Okay, this was Hermanie Cadol, and this was 1889. Okay, so boobies, thank you, everywhere. Now let's move on to May 31st. May 31st, in 1879, is when Madison Square Garden first opened its doors. Yes, that Madison Square Garden in New York first opened. That's when it came about, was in 1879. It's that old, yes. But something else happened. On May 31st, 1968 was the very first time that Wild Bill made an appearance. This was at a hospital in West Covina, California. Here, let me show you the picture. Okay, that Wild Bill. All right, now I was there. I'll admit that I was very young at the time. I don't remember a lot about it. I mean, but that was the first appearance of Wild Bill, was May 31st, 1968. Now then, let's look at June 1st. In 1862, on June 1st, 1862, this is when Robert E. Lee, yes, Robert E. Lee, assumed command of the armies of Virginia, yes, that guy right there, and renamed them the Army of Northern Virginia, and eventually took over command of the Confederate armies and did all kinds of havoc towards the federal troops. But this was the day, June 1st, that he took command, his first Confederate command. Now, it was June 2nd, And it was June 2nd, 1886. Grover Cleveland. You ever heard of him? Okay, most people know about the whole trivia question about presidents. That who was the president who served 2 non-consecutive terms, and that's Grover Cleveland. But did you know that there was a president, and only one president so far, ever to get married in the White House? And that was Grover Cleveland. This Grover Cleveland right here, yes, got married in the Blue Room of the White House. And in 1886, on June 2nd, yes, Grover Cleveland got married in the White House. Now, I know some of you may think, that would be a great way to get married, the prince marries you in his palace. But I'm sorry, it's not a prince in a palace. It's a president in a White House. Okay, to me, that actually loses some romance to it, but I don't know. I guess I'm too much of a romantic. Anywho, let's look at June 3rd. And it was in June 3rd, it was 1505, that Hernando de Soto claimed Florida for Spain. Yes, Florida now belongs to Spain, thanks to Mr. de Soto. Okay? Yes. So now, if there's anybody really old or really a car nerd, and yeah, I'm a gearhead, I'm a car nerd. Yes, De Soto was also a sub-brand of Chrysler. In fact, my very first car I ever bought was a 1948 De Soto, and it was named after him, the guy that claimed Florida for Spain. We'll talk about Florida later today. But anyway, that's this week in history. So let's therefore talk about something else, because we have something to continue on with Have You Considered, and that is we are going to continue our discussion on propaganda, U.S. propaganda. Now, this is the 3rd installment of this discussion, and those of you who have been following it know that in the first episode we talked about the colonial days of propaganda. What was our government trying to make Americans think, even in the colonial days and in the first days of the Revolution? What does it mean to be American? To be a patriot, proud of their homeland, who comes up from behind, roots for the underdog, and takes victory from the hands of defeat. This was the idea of how the government wanted to see Americans think about themselves. And then we moved on from there and into what happened during that whole time of the War of Northern Aggression. Okay, Civil War, if you must call it that. But more importantly, how the alliances between the press and the government were really forming, and how the two were beginning this symbiotic relationship to work together towards a common goal. And that common goal being, of course, how to control these people. Lincoln, as you recall, had an issue. He had to send a bunch of patriots to war. And although he ended up using political means, particularly the Emancipation Proclamation and other tools, in order to get them to actually fight for him, it was very inefficient. Something had to change in American propaganda. And that's what we're going to be talking about now in this installment of Have You Considered? So, what was the major change that happened since the days of Reconstruction and Grant, etc.? Now, what really happened that had to make a massive impact was the Spanish-American War. Now, the Spanish-American War was fought in 1898. And, the old slogan, if you've heard this, remember the Maine, dates back to 1898. But anyway, here's what we had. We had a U.S. federal government by this time, had finished Reconstruction, was thinking it had some muscle to flex. If Britain can be imperialistic, why can't we? And so they went after Spain, figured out a way to go to battle with them, and then we cleaned their clock. Okay, the Spanish-American War was never in question. We beat the pus out of the Spanish. I'm even going to tell you, I don't remember which specific island it was in the Pacific, where a naval cruiser, a U.S. naval cruiser, fired on this Spanish position, and immediately an officer came running down the pier okay, that came out of the Spanish fortress and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have any ammunition to return your salute. Can you have some gunpowder you can loan to us?" I mean, this is how the Spanish-American War went. Okay, we kicked their butts. This is a problem to the European community. Now, keep in mind that prior to the Spanish-American War, the United States, as far as the European powers were concerned, was pretty much a backwater. It wasn't that we weren't strong and we weren't a legitimate country, but we were on another continent. We had nothing to do with European affairs, and even if we wanted to do something with European affairs, what could we do? We're way over there. We're not a threat. We're not an issue as far as the rest of the civilized world was concerned. Boy, did the Spanish-American War change that idea. Now you've got Spain, a major European power, and had been for centuries, just lost pretty much the rest of their entire Pacific Empire and lost it to the United States. Now Europe is worried. What is this country going to do? What is their foreign policy going to be? And therefore, the federal government has to change how they think about how to wield these American people. Enters Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Yes, this guy. Now, keep in mind, he was the hero of the Spanish-American War. You know, Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders, fighting up Santiago. He was Secretary of War not long after that. He was Vice President of the United States when McKinley was assassinated in 1901, becoming president. And this Theodore Roosevelt is, and I think I'm going to, by the time we're done, if you're in the know, you're going to agree, is the very first modern president in American history. And every president we have ever had since him is based on him. And there's a good reason for it. You see, Roosevelt, he was in the middle of that war, 1898. He was vice president afterwards, Secretary of War afterwards. He knew what the European community was looking for. They were looking to America for power. They were looking to America for prestige. How is he going to do that? Well, you can't do that with a bunch of patriots. This is a problem. An America full of patriots? The federal government cannot afford to have patriots in the United States. Does that make any sense to you? No, it doesn't make sense. But there's a reason why. It's because there's a difference between a patriot and a nationalist. And a patriot is a person that loves their homeland. But a nationalist is a person that loves their government. And there is a very big difference on what motivates these two different people. This was Theodore Roosevelt's problem. American propaganda up to this point had been primarily teaching people and teaching Americans to be patriots. Yes, just like Mel Gibson's The Patriot. We want to be patriots. We want to be fighting for our homeland. Well, that's okay if that's all you do. If you're, in your revolution being invaded, or if in 1814 you're protecting your homeland, or if you're in the War of 1848 and you're trying to work with your homeland, or in the Civil War and you've got homeland issues, and I know not everybody did, but nonetheless, our land, the United States, the continental U.S. was involved. Okay, well, now let's say something happens in Europe and some war happens. Well, patriots aren't going to help you. Patriots will fight to the death if someone invades them, but they will tell the government to go kiss it where the sun doesn't shine if they're told they have to go fight overseas for somebody that doesn't matter to their land. The last thing Teddy Roosevelt needs is patriots. So what he has to do is make them into nationalists. Now, mind you, there had already been a nationalist movement in the United States. There was already a significant amount of work that had been done, even during the times of the Lincoln administration and beyondward, in trying to build a nationalist movement in the United States. My nation, my government, right or wrong, that I will do what my government wants me to do. I will serve my country through my government. And this is where we have Teddy Roosevelt. So the first thing he has to do is he has to work on changing definitions and changing what things mean. Now, we're going to start, he has to first start this by making the words patriot and the words nationalist into one. But he has to do it under one banner. So which banner does he choose? Well, there are actually two very distinct flags of the United States. Did you know that? There is not one flag of the U.S. There are actually two. There is the patriot flag of the United States, and there is the nationalist flag of the United States. They are two different flags. Let's first look at the flag of the patriot. This is the patriot flag, or called the Gadsden flag. There it is there. We talked about that in episode 1, the first one of this series, about the Gadsden flag being the flag of the patriot. And why? Because the Gadsden flag in and of itself absolutely represented the land of North America. That rattlesnake was native to no other land. It will not be found in Europe or in Australia or in South America or in Antarctica or wherever. Rattlesnakes are only found in the United States. They're only found in our land. Don't tread on our land. We are patriots. Now, the nationalists had a flag too. And the nationalist flag, although it paid homage to the land, because after all, you have to have land to have a nation, but what was more important is how the people and how the government of the people divided up and organized that land. And this is the flag of the American nationalist. Does this flag look familiar? Now, if calling this a nationalist flag is offensive to you, well, I'm sorry. It's only because you have only been taught what you were taught to think. Because you don't see Gadsden flags flying around anymore, at least not on government structures. And there's a reason for this. And this, again, Theodore Roosevelt. Get rid of the Gadsden flag. It represents patriotism. We need nationalism. We need our people to worship our government and to worship our flag as a representation of our government. So this is what he had to strive to do. And he did this under some very interesting circumstances, which is why you're going to see he was our first modern president. What Theodore Roosevelt did was kept his eyes open, because there was something showing up at these meetings that, remember, Lincoln had started, these press conferences, and that was a journalist with something called a movie camera. Yeah, cinema. The ability to actually be seen ruling your people. Oh boy, Theodore Roosevelt, he lapped that up and went, you know what? Why should I rely on these reporters when I can talk directly to the face of the people of this country? Right there on a camera. Oh man. Every president's got to love this. Therefore, what Theodore Roosevelt did was he decided, you know what I need to do? I need to make sure that if we're going to be a nation of nationalists instead of patriots, then I have to make sure that these people love this country. Well, I don't know if you ever heard of a man by the name of Noah Webster, but he was one of the signers of our Constitution and was a founder of our country. He even, Webster's dictionary, that Noah Webster. He once said that government is nothing more than a reflection of the collective group of people involved. And this is a great way of simply saying that when you look at your government, you're looking at yourself. Therefore, what do you want your government to look like? And what do we as Americans really want to feel if we're going to love our government and therefore love ourselves? And Theodore Roosevelt's answer was simple. We need to be smart and we need to be strong. Stop and think for a minute. You want your government to be smart. You want your government to be intelligent. You want your government to be strong. You want your government to have military strength, to have power and prestige. Yes. Theodore Roosevelt went, this is exactly how we're going to create the presidency. I'm even going to make the means to do it. And so he built something in the White House that did not exist before. It was called the Oval Office. The Oval Office was specifically built by Theodore Roosevelt as a place that was perfect for filming motion pictures of the president. He wanted to make sure that the president was someone that the people of this country could see doing his work at his office. Why is it oval? Because an oval room is the easiest to light from a cinematographer's point of view. Why is it another reason why is it oval? Because that way you don't have to shove cameras into corners causing other lighting issues. You can have several cameras all over the place in this room. You can have many different reporters all over the place in this room, all being able to see the president at his desk doing the work of the people, being very smart and very strong. Speak softly, carry a big stick. Be strong, be smart. That's the nationalism that begins with Teddy Roosevelt. But he's not done. Because what he does is when he brings in all of these people from the cinema and he starts talking and they talk to him and he's doing his work. Well, keep in mind, this is 1902, 1903. When we think of going to the movie theater today, we think of going to theater. You think of, a Cinema 36 or whatever, and you just go see one. That wasn't the case. In fact, movie theaters in this country, United States, that specifically only showed movies didn't even start to show up until the late 1930s. When you're talking in the turn of the century, cinema was being handled by the theaters that handled everything else. Vaudeville, they had, concerts from and plays and ballets and and who knows what else. It was a theater, and live theater was far more popular than cinema theater. And what they would do is that the live theaters would drop down a screen, and you could see these shows of the president, which became what are known as newsreels. And the newsreel continued throughout cinema and the growth of cinema throughout the teens and 20s and 30s. And at the same time, the United States government, knowing how powerful cinema was, got really into making movies themselves. Do you have any idea how many complete studios and production companies that the United States government actually owns and operates? Yes. Yeah. Our country knows how to make propaganda and make it well. In fact, in 1945, the United States Army Air Force released a feature propaganda documentary film that actually was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Feature Documentary of 1945. And that movie was The Last Bomb. Okay? As soon as I post this on YouTube, I'll give you a link of that. But yeah, if your government is good enough to get Academy Award nominations, do you think your government's good enough to know how to fool you? Yes, they are. But let's get back to the early 1900s with Theodore Roosevelt, because now we have to get into another problem. Cinema was an emerging medium. Theodore Roosevelt understood that the President of the United States, he wasn't dictating policy, he was dictating propaganda. He had to be somebody that looked good in front of a camera. And he had to be a media mogul. But now he's got to work on getting this whole change of patriots to nationalists. And he needs an ally. He needs somebody, like Lincoln had with Thomas Nast. Okay, when trying to make changes in the local media that were really up and coming to create the kind of propaganda that he wanted. And Teddy Roosevelt found his man in none other than George M. Cohan. Have you heard of George M. Cohan? If you haven't, well, you need to. This man is extraordinarily important in the development of American nationalism and the redefinition of American patriotism. And if you haven't heard of George M. Cohan, well, you will. You will definitely want to know more about this guy. Yes, he worked with, from Roosevelt to Roosevelt, from Teddy to FDR, yes. you had George M. Cohan was the driving force of American propaganda in making sure that the American population thought in terms of nationalism when they said the word patriotism. How did he accomplish this? Let me give you some examples. First of all, George M. Cohan, he was a songwriter, producer, director, dancer, singer. He did it all. Renaissance man of the theater. And also did cinema work as well, but was also a great promoter. He was the ultimate American vaudeville. This was George M. Cohan. And you know his work. And it is complete nationalism. Here's an example. I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, a Yankee Doodle do or die, a real live nephew of my Uncle Sam, born on the 4th of July. Did you just hear what I sang? Did you really just listen to what I just said? I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy. I represent the Yankees, the old Patriots, but I'm a Yankee Doodle, do or die. My government, right or wrong, do or die. These are nationalist statements. I'm a real life nephew of my Uncle Sam. Who is Uncle Sam? Well, we know that from last week. Thomas Nast, the embodiment of the government. I'm born of my government on the 4th of July. My love was born when my government was born. Do you realize what this song is actually teaching? You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever for peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Are you kidding me? Okay, what are you doing? You are redefining patriot terms in nationalist words, okay? That's exactly what's happening there. How about this song? Over there, send the word, over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drumming everywhere. Oh, that's right, the nationalists are coming because we like being strong. That's what's all about America. Patriotism is America having strength. This is exactly what George M. Cohan here and other, I could go on, okay? But this is what he brought to American nationalism. So that now, patriots in America, they don't care about the Gadsden flag. They want the stars and stripes. They want the flag of the government. They want that George M. Cohan American modern presidency. We're strong and we're smart because that's what makes us American. And you wonder why Kim Jong-il is so angry with us. Don't you realize that that's called a nationalist republic government? That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Now, when you look at Kim Jong-il, what does he do? Well, he sends ridiculous propaganda all throughout his country to show his people that they are strong and they are smart because their government is strong and our government is smart. And oh yes, was Teddy Roosevelt's government strong? Oh yeah, it beat the piss out of the Spanish. Was it smart? Oh yes, we're ecological. We created the we created the national park system. We created all these different things in promoting science. And look how smart we are as Americans. And Kim Jong-il's going, you know what? You bunch of hypocrites. You're doing the same thing I'm doing. The only difference is that I only got one party. You got two. Okay? But it's the same government. It's a nationalist republic. And we'll talk about how republic was redefined next week. But let's move on. Because we have another episode that happens during this particular formative period. And it's done by another Roosevelt. You see, we have the development of radio. Okay? And as much as Teddy Roosevelt created that model, even created the Oval Office to demonstrate this is how a modern president is supposed to act, because we're now the head of the media. We have to lead the nation of the United States, and we have to lead the media of the United States. And so we have to look the part. We have to sound the part. And this is where FDR got to use the radio. Now, how important was the radio? Oh, it was critical because, again, the radio is new technology. The more technology that we could use as an American government to demonstrate American strength and superiority in intellect, the more it's lapped up by the people who are growing to be nationalists. He therefore created something that has been going on ever since in some form or another called the fireside chat. Now, this was part of his New Deal. And the fireside chats were the way of Roosevelt rationalizing all of these different massive amounts of money he was spending to try to cure the problem that the government created. However, as long as they're good nationalists and as long as they understand that their government is right there, grandpa government is right there by the fireside with you. I'm going to take care of you because I love you and you love me and I'm strong and I'm smart. Boy, isn't American propaganda great? And we're going to go into the next phase next week of American propaganda when we start discovering just what the television and the internet have to offer to our development and the growth of American propaganda. But we'll save that for next week. And now it's time for some silliness. Now, for today, the silliness was, I didn't write this, okay? My wife, Toni, anyone who knows me knows that I married the prettiest girl in the universe. That's why I married her. We're getting ready to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary here shortly. We've only been married for 19, but we heard the 25th was really cool, so we're doing it early. And if it turns out awesome, we'll do it again next year. But she's a linguist. She speaks every language that there is on the planet, period. She speaks them all. And I asked her to give me a list. And she gave me a list. This is Toni's, Prettiest Girl in the Universe's, list of the top 10 words that, for one reason or another, are just kind of silly for us who speak English. And so she starts with number 10. Here's the word. I'm going to have a paper here because I can't pronounce all these, okay? This is fiflina. Okay, fiflina. This is Czech. And it means a woman that is obsessed with clothes. Okay? See, in Czech, you've just got one word, fiflina. As opposed to saying, boy, you are really girl, you got too much stuff in your closet. I mean, all you have to do is say fiflina in Czech. Okay? I got it. All right, here's another one. The word for lion in Turkish is aslan. Yes, that aslan. Okay. All right. Do you think James Lewis came up... Did I call him James Lewis? C.H. Lewis. Did C.H. Lewis come up with aslan out of nowhere? No. He stole it from the Turks. Okay? Aslan is actually Turkish for lion. Okay. All right, here's another one. Okay. All right. She's saying the word is frokost. And in Norwegian, it means breakfast. In Danish, it means lunch. Okay, can you figure out what meal you are? Okay? I mean, why should you have to have the same word be different meal? Stupid Scandinavians. Okay. All right, here we go. The next, okay, oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, coming in at number seven, this is... If she's watching this, she's going to be laughing at me. Skrikskipi. I'm trying to say violin in Polish, okay? It doesn't have any vowels. How do you have a language with no freaking vowels unless you're reading ancient Hebrew or something? But see? It finally gets an L at the okay. All right. Okay, and her number 6, all right, is pequenino. This means a little one in Portuguese. However, this happens to be where we get the English word pickaninny. which was literally, it was a derogative. If somebody was a pickaninny, they were like a pain in the butt or something. But it actually comes from Portuguese, from a word that just means, a little one. Okay, now we're getting into some silly ones. All right. Muñeca. Muñeca. This means both a wrist and a doll in Spanish. Yes, the same word for a wrist and a doll in Spanish. Muñeca. Now let me ask you, what's the word for a doll's wrist? Do you have to say muñeca, muñeca? Okay, muñeca. I mean, it's like the name George. Georgeor. It never ends. Okay. So anyway, that's that one. Okay. Now let's go here to the. I'm going to the Dutch. Okay, the Dutch are easy to pick on when it comes to language, and here you get varkensvlees. This means pork. Okay. Say, Mama, pass me the varkensvlees. Okay? I mean, varkens. I mean, come on, just give me damn bacon. I'm coming. Varkensvlees. I mean, that is okay. Okay. So, okay. All right. Speaking of Scandinavia, Swedish. All right, Swedes. Okay. Here is their word and how you pronounce the name Mickey Mouse. Musapig. Musapig. Yes, that right there, him, on the screen right now, that is Musapig. Okay, all right, okay, I'm sorry. Swedes, I'm sorry. Musapig. All right, I mean, it was bad enough that what the Dutch did with pig stuff, okay? I mean, you had to go and do that. Okay, but then again, we've got, all right, this is from Germany. This one's from Germany. Okay. Backpfeifengezeigt. 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 Yes, Backpfeifengezeigt. This is the official word in German of a face in badly need of a fist. Yes, the Germans have a word that means you're in a bar talking to some stranger. He just said something really stupid. You just want to punch him. Yes, the Germans have a word for it. Okay? I mean, and you would know that if anybody, I mean, would the French have a word like that? No. Would the Spanish have a word like that? No. Would the Americans have a word like that? No. Only the Germans would have a word like that. Okay? There's the face needing a fist. Okay. All right. But that was number 2. Let's go to number 1. Okay, number 1. The absolute ridiculous, silly word is, according to, again, my wife, she is a linguist. The word is spookasm. Yes, spookasm. Which literally in Afrikaans means ghost breath or cotton candy. Yes, cotton candy. Ghost breath, cotton candy. It's a spookasm. Okay, look, spookasm. Look, I'm an English guy. I hear spookasm. I'm thinking ethereal jizz here. I'm thinking, my God, you've got a disembodied spirit that has gotten too excited, and that's going to be the result. And you're going to spool it on in a machine into this thing and serve it to a kid. Look, I'm sorry. In Afrikaans, you guys, okay, you're wrong. Okay, it's just wrong, all right? I mean, let the dead be dead. Okay, well, that pretty much wraps us out for today's episode of In the Know. Would like to, of course, shout out to Toni, prettiest girl in the world. Thanks for that list of top 10 there. Don't forget to be here for next week. We're going to be finishing off this series on American propaganda, and I've got some other stuff later for that. And also, we do have, coming up here in just about another hour or so, we do have Hitting Hard. That's going to be coming up from Dual Phoenix Productions. Make sure that you're there to watch that. Until then, this is Wild Bill. Make sure you keep yourself in the know.